Welcome everybody, doing a little short review of the polynomial test coming up for the very first one, which is on dividing and factoring, some of the easier factoring types. We're not going to do many questions, but we're going to do a few of each type. The first one we're going to do is number 4, and I'm going to highlight all of the top and all of the bottom, which is a little bit strange to do because this is all one piece. We have no pluses, no minuses. It's just one term in the numerator and one term in the denominator. Once we get here, that means we just need to do our dividing rules. Divide the big numbers, the coefficients, and then subtract the little numbers, subtract the exponents. So this answer is also going to give us a fraction. Because we have all one fraction, we just want to simplify it. The first thing I'm going to do is divide the coefficients, which is 19 divided by 18, gives me a decimal. I'm going to hit the fraction button, 1/2. So I'm going to go to my answer and put 1/2. A 1 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. Notice I made a nice big line so that I have room for any letters that I might need to put on there with the 1/2. And then I'm going to look one letter at a time. The first letter is A. I've got 6 on top, 2 on bottom. Remember, we haven't done this in a while, but 6 on top, 2 on bottom. It's like they're in a battle or in a war against each other. We're going to have some of the A's cancel out in a fight, but we're going to have some A's survive. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 A's survive. But very important, do those A's belong on the top or the bottom? They belong on the top. So we're going to put A4 in our answer, and it has to be on the top. Now, that's not really that hard. That's just 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 makes 4, so we put 4 A's. Wherever you got more A's, that's where you got the leftovers. That's where you got the survivors. Let's look at B. Same thing. If you want to do it nice and slow, 1 B on the top and 3 B's on the bottom. And you can cross them off, and we have 2 surviving B's, and they're both on the bottom. That's as simple as 3 minus 1 is 2. And then lastly, with our C's, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a nice even battle. Boom, 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 boom. Unfortunately, we have no survivors. Everybody wiped out. No more C's. Our answer should have no C. That's it. That's our answer. It's a big fraction. It's not too bad. Divide the big numbers and subtract the small numbers. Now let's move on to the question right below it, which is number 6. So question number 6 is a little bit different. You follow along with me, Makai? Number 6 has 2 things in the numerator. We have that plus sign there, which is breaking us up. But on the bottom, we still only have 1. Okay? It's always important to pay attention to that bottom. So right now, we only have 1. That means we're going to need to take the first term and divide it by the yellow. Then we're going to need to take the second term and divide it by the yellow. Everybody needs to get divided by the yellow. So let's start off with the first term. I can kind of block it with my finger a little bit. What is 9 divided by 3? 3. What is 4x's divided by 3? So use subtraction. What's 4 minus 3? Just 1. And then what is 7 against 2? 7 minus 2 is 5. And that's our first term. And that really wasn't very bad. Bathroom pass is going to have to wait about 4 minutes. Then we just go to the next one. Okay? This guy is finished. Check. We still need to do the second guy. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5x's, take away 3 of them. Squared, I like that terminology. 4y's, take away 2 of them. Also squared. And there you go. We divided both sides by the bottom. Wasn't that tough? We'll move on. Now we're going to move to question number 9. Question number 9 is a question that looks funky for a divide question because this symbol right here is ugly. We don't like this symbol. Once you get out of like 4th grade, this symbol is kind of trash, okay? So we want to replace this. I mean, can you follow along for 3 more questions, man? I'm sure they're going to say that they'd rather you stick around to get the instruction today. We're going to trade out this divide for a big divide. We're going to put 4x minus 5 here in the bottom. And that's just literally putting the 4x minus 5 on the bottom. So we don't need that. Now when we're here and we look at this, we've got 1, 2, 3 things. And on the bottom, we've got 1, 2. So that is a big difference. Now that we have 2 in the bottom, or in the denominator, I got stuck with 2 different words in my head. 2 terms in bottom. Now that we have 2 terms down here, we're going to do what we've called the broken heart before, which is a silly name, or the butterfly, which is not a great name. We're going to do these 2 things divided by each other and these 2 things divided by each other. The first 2 and the last 2. When we do that, it's actually going to be pretty easy in terms of the math. It's going to be pretty simple, pretty short, and a nice easy answer. 2 things, this one in the middle, we don't use at all, which is very unusual for a math question, but we don't use that one at all. And make sure you get your negative signs right. This question has 2 negative signs. Always negative signs are important. So 20 and 4, Desmos, 20 divided by 4 is 5. And then x squared, take away 1x, is just an x. And then negative 5 divided by negative 5. Now those are big coefficient numbers, so we don't use subtraction, we use divide. Negative 5 divided by negative 5. Desmos says 1, so we put plus 1. And that's it. That's the whole answer. That is short, pretty easy, doesn't take very long. I just want to point out number 7, I guess. Does number 7 have 1 term in the bottom or 2 terms in the bottom? It's got 1. So when we look at this middle term, is that an important term that we need, or is that one that we're going to scribble out? Right, this is an important term. That's one of the hardest things on this test, is you got to keep that straight. This bottom only being 1 piece means we have to divide, divide, divide. All 3 are important. If we got 2 pieces, then the middle one is not important. All right, let's go to the back, and we're not going to do but 1 question on here. So 1 more question, and we'll move on, and I'll accept the bathroom pass, and we'll make it happen. Number 14. So number 14 is a factor using GCF. So if we're factoring using GCF 2, 16, and 8, Desmos is going to help us with the number part here. Okay? GCF parentheses 2, comma, negative 16, comma, 8. Now the negative doesn't make much of a big deal, but it's a good habit to always, keep our negative signs. Desmos says 2, so we're going to put 2. We also want to get the GCF of the letters, and this is where our brain can get kind of twisted, right? Because your brain might be thinking, am I supposed to subtract these letters like I did on the front? Am I supposed to? And really what we're doing is we're going to pick the smallest amount of letters, which is a strange thing to do, but that's what we're doing. This first person has 3 M's. This middle person has 2 m's, and this last person has only 1. So what we're trying to say is, do they all have 1? They all have 1, yes. Right? 1 and 1 and 1. Now, do they all have 2? Can this guy on the end afford to give away 2 m's? He's only got 1 to start. So 1 m is the best we can do. The GCF is 1. So we're just basically choosing the smallest number that we can find here. 1 m, that's what we choose. Now look at the ends. I see 2 n's, 3 n's, 1 n. 2, 3, 1. What's the smallest number? 1. Now this is the GCF. Good job, we found the GCF. But we also need to now put some parentheses here and figure out, once we take away 2mn from each of these terms, what do they have left? So divide by 2mn, divide by 2mn, divide by 2mn. Once we do all of that, then we'll see what the real answer is at the end. 2 divided by 2? 1. And just keep it simple. We just need to lose 1 m and lose 1 n. So take away 1 m. We have 2 m's left, m squared. Take away 1 n. We should have 1 n still, because we're going from 2, but we have to subtract 1, so we have 1. Negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. Use Desmos if you need to. M squared, lose 1, 1m. N cubed, lose 1. You're going to come down to squared. Plus 4. We have an m, lose it. We have an n, lose it. So this term has no letters. You got to take your time. You got to go one at a time. And if you take it really simple, one of these letters at a time, get rid of an m. Get rid of an n. That's all you got to do. I said we'd only do one question. I forgot we're recording a video here, so just really quick, let's go through this. Remember, the middle term is the add together term, and the last term is the multiply. So on Desmos, make sure you set it up right. X plus y and x times y, and we're going to use those two numbers, which is negative 8 and negative 20. Look around here, looking for where green touches purple, and that is the answer we're going to choose, negative 10, 2. Now, the way our answer looks is with parentheses, with an x, and then a minus 10, and a plus 2. Make sure you have no commas. I did see a couple people with commas in here. That we should not have any commas. Make sure you only have one sign. It's either a plus or a minus. So that's a minus 10. I shouldn't see plus minus 10. That is a plus 2. I shouldn't see plus plus 2 or plus minus 2. Alright, you just take the middle number, that's the add. You take the last number, that's the multiply. And please put your negatives in there. If you forget the negatives, you're screwed. Alright, nice job on the review. Test coming up.